Hello Wolfpack. Today we're going to be talking about Litecoin. We've got an update video. We did a Litecoin video about a month ago. Litecoin obviously is the silver to Bitcoin's digital gold. Now, Litecoin is a very interesting coin. I've got a lot of requests to do this video, and that's why I'm doing it. Actually dozens of people, which is surprising considering my following, have, messaged me personally and asked me to analyze Litecoin, so I thought I'd do a Litecoin update. It's interesting with Litecoin because it seems they have a very, very, strong community, on a personal level, but you don't hear a lot of hype around of Litecoin, and I think that's because it's one of those coins, where there's not really much, progression in terms of the fundamentals on a regular basis. It's been around for a while. It's a dino coin, essentially. And that's one thing I want to discuss as well is that, most coins that have been around in the last bull market, we got, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, just all of the coins that were around in the last, XRP, for example, they haven't really reached their all-time highs yet in this bull cycle. Litecoin just kind of scraped past its all-time high here during the May altcoin season or mini altcoin season that we had, which is an abnormal because, as I said, a lot of dino coins haven't actually gathered that much traction yet in this bull market. We've had some of the newer coins coming out in 2020, 2019, this year, gaining the traction, such as, Solana, PancakeSwap, etc. Those coins have kind of stolen the spotlight a little bit, which is fine. I'm still expecting those dino coins to appreciate in value towards the end of the year as the real altcoin season kicks in. We're speaking maybe October, November, December, and possibly into January as well, or later, into the later in next year, if the lengthening cycles theory plays out properly. But yeah, Litecoin's actually made some unique movement, which is great to see. We see massive amount of volume, over 10 billion per day at some points in this cycle here, up to 20 billion, I'm pretty sure, earlier in the year in December and January. So Litecoin, if we get into the fundamentals, just briefly, basically, we've got a max supply of 84 million, total supply 66 million. So supply demand starting to kick in pretty nicely in Litecoin. We've got, a lot of money wrapped up in Litecoin. It's around 16th at the moment on total market cap rankings. It started the year and, last year, in the top 10, and usually it's a lot higher than what it is now. But as I just said, the newer coins, even as Litecoin took off and reached its all-time high, that was still nothing compared to what some of the newer coins have done, earlier in this bull market, going 100x in some cases, and just overtaking all the old coins in the top 10. But, Litecoin could make a comeback at the end of the year when dino coins typically run. So we've got a lot of money tied up in Litecoin regardless. It's very well known. As you can see, if we scroll down here, it's on every major exchange. Basically, I don't really need to get into that. This is a coin that came out, very early in crypto's history, 2013. So it saw some of the first, bull markets and first major price actions has been around for a long, long time. Litecoin, where is it accepted? Well, we've got just a few examples here. It's accepted a lot of retail places. As adoption kicks in, we usually get this, pair here of two pairs of coins that get adopted. So we've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin, which is very interesting. Most places that are starting to take Bitcoin payments take those four coins. So Litecoin is one of those. So it's on Venmo. It's got a Grayscale Trust here. So it's got 276 million total assets under management in the Litecoin Grayscale Trust, which is nice to see. It's gaining some popularity in that. We've got, PayPal recently just announcing, Bitcoin, being able to buy Bitcoin and use Bitcoin for payments in the UK and, coming globally soon. We've got, what you wouldn't really expect to see if you go back 5 years ago. We've got PayPal, this absolutely massive company, writing about what Litecoin is. And, obviously the other coins they're accepting, which is also Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin and Bitcoin as well. So, that's just interesting to see. If you've been in crypto a long time, this is something that's basically we've been hoping for a long time. It's starting to happen, which is nice, and Litecoin's part of that. So it's obviously going to have some big traction in the future, especially amongst retail investors and also amongst institutions, as Grayscale has proven here. So if we get into the TA briefly, actually just one more thing I'll mention with Litecoin, you'll notice that Ethereum and Bitcoin seem to be pretty big contenders for the number one spot, and then we've got Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin that are being adopted on a mass scale in retail. Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are probably two of the biggest competitors in cryptocurrency, in my opinion, and I think the best way to go about it is to own both. I think that having these kind of internal conflicts as to which one is better, Litecoin or Bitcoin, which one should I buy, just buy both, because at the end of the day, one of them is probably going to quote unquote win, and trying to estimate and assume which one will win most likely is kind of not really your game to play. In reality, it's up to the big institutions who are adopting Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash for payments. One of them would seem better to me. I prefer Bitcoin Cash personally, but I do own basically the equivalent amount of Litecoin as well, because I understand that Litecoin has the same basic use case and is being adopted on a mass scale as well. I'm not going to try and predict. I'm just going to try and hold both and, hope for the best. Basically, that's the way to go. That's called diversity, not putting all of your eggs in one basket. It's the same thing with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if we look into the TA here on Litecoin, we've got the daily chart here. If we actually just check how long okay, so we look into the TA here, we can see that the first thing we'll get into is this kind of descending wedge formation that we had. We retested this support zone from around 100 USD to around 130 USD, which is our big support zone that we formed here in December, and also tested the bottom of it in November. So we broke through there, retested it for support as Bitcoin capitulated, and we broke above here, retaking the 50-day SMA. We had, if we zoom in, a nice amount of retests of the 50-day SMA for support right here. So we had about a week of just retesting that constantly. So that's obviously a solid support zone. If we were to drop down, that's currently sits at about 150 USD, which is not too far down, and actually is within reach here. We've got a 13% drop until that point, so we could be retesting that point within the coming weeks. September is typically a bearish month, so we can actually kind of expect now looking at this that this will be a nice point for us to hold for support and retest. We've got this ascending triangle that we've kind of started to fall out of it right now as Bitcoin corrects down towards the 20-week SMA. And also in line with this ascending triangle and aligned with this bull market support band, we have the volume profiling, which tells us that if we drop below this ascending triangle, essentially there's not going to be much buying pressure or any volume at any sort until around here at 137 USD, but I'm assuming we'll be caught by this 50-day SMA anyway. So basically we're basically on the brink of a substantial correction here on Litecoin. If we drop below this ascending triangle, we could be in for that 15% drop that I just labeled out further before. On the upside, on the occasion that, I would say it's a more unlikely occasion, knowing the history of September's in cryptocurrency, but on the occasion where we break to the upside here, we'll obviously be seeing a bounce on this daily candle above this point of control, which is this orange line, and above the 200-day SMA, flip that for support and head towards this red resistance box here. That's a more unlikely scenario. I think we need to correct first. We can see that we've kind of seen, if we get the pen out, a bit of a double top at the top of this ascending triangle as well. So I think that a correction down to the 50-day SMA is in the works for Litecoin, which would be a good buying opportunity because the long-term structure still remains, and that would still confirm a higher low from this point here that we formed at the start of the month. Looking at the 1 week Bitcoin pair on Litecoin, we can see that this is basically a chart that determines what Litecoin is worth in relation to Bitcoin. So when the Bitcoin pair is higher, Litecoin is worth more sats than it was previously when it was lower. You can see that Litecoin is ever since 2013, basically ever since its inception, a long-term downwards trend. We can draw some sort of a rough resistance line here on Litecoin. It's not going to be perfect because there is just too many wicks here going in random directions over the course of almost a decade. However, I'd say that this is a pretty strong resistance line for Litecoin. It also acts as a trend line in which we're trending downwards on the Bitcoin dominance, and this is perfectly healthy. Bitcoin dominance does not need to make new all-time high. The Bitcoin pair on altcoins does not always need to make new all-time highs. That is for the USD pair to do, because at the end of the day, back in 2013 here, there would have only been maybe a couple of hundred altcoins, if not less. Now there is tens of thousands of altcoins. There's simply more competition for Litecoin in the market. The money, the total market cap of cryptocurrency is more spread out amongst the altcoins, and hence naturally, every single coin's Bitcoin pair is going to be diminishing over time for the most part. That is until, obviously, Bitcoin gets kicked from the throne, and whether that will happen or not, I don't know. So in the meantime, this is not something to be concerned about. just focus on the USD chart, but it is worth noting that we have this Bitcoin pair resistance line here, and we have seen a retest of this resistance line in every bull market. We can see a bull market test here in 2013, 2014, 2015. We had this sporadic move upwards where we retested that line as well, or near it. In the 2017, 2018 bull market, we retested this line again, and in this bull market, and in the 2019 miniature bull market in the middle of the bear market, we had a move up on Bitcoin of about 200-300%, and we retested this line on altcoins as well, and here on the Litecoin pair we can see. And in this bull market, we're yet to retest this line, so logically we can assume that when that big pump comes in October, November, and December, possibly into January, we will be seeing a bounce on the Litecoin Bitcoin pair to the top of this resistance line. Whether we will break through or not is a question for another day, but we can see that we clearly haven't seen a pump up to this resistance line that we've seen in the last two bull markets, or three bull markets, sorry. So why would we not see it in this one? The macro structure looks great. If we look at the weekly chart, and we can make a prediction here from a fractal on the USD pair, well, basically we can see we've got basically a large double bottom on Litecoin, in which we tested or scalped this zone at around 22 USD twice on two separate occasions, a year or two apart. And that kind of confirmed to the bears that, hey, look, we probably can't take this thing any lower. And we started rallying heavily on Litecoin. And that's probably one of the reasons why we saw this run up when most altcoins did not, because we recently saw a double bottom on a macro scale, on a larger scale on the weekly chart as well, and the monthly chart as well. So that's very, that would incentivize a lot of confidence in the bulls, a lot of buying power that we saw. And that's why we saw those, massive spikes of volume that we didn't see on other Dino coins. As for predictions, now we can start to think here, okay, so what are we looking like on Litecoin? Well, what I can see as a prediction is this area here in 2017, just before the massive run up here. Now, just remember, in this case, that 2017 in this period here was actually the bull market for Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance hadn't dropped yet, so altcoins had not started to perform that well. But in December, we saw Bitcoin top out, which is around this period, and that's when altcoins started to kind of perform very well. We haven't seen that massive spike. We haven't seen that altcoin season yet, so it would be logical to assume that what we were seeing now and what we have seen in the past few months is actually the same as what we saw in this period before the massive spike up in 2017. So what we need to do is take the fractal from that period and simply apply it to the current price movements. So if we do that right now, we can see just very roughly, it's kind of hard to do perfectly because, fractals are not meant to be a direct, repeating occurrence in what happens. It's meant to be a rough guideline. But if we apply that fractal, and it's a pretty strong fractal, we can see that we've had this, pre-Bitcoin top move up, in which it's taken us to around 400 USD. We've had that correction, we're having it now. We're going to be consolidating for a while more. You can see that this lines up with the cyclical theory as well. Bitcoin's going to be topping out later in this period, and will probably be pumping up. As for time frames, I'm thinking this could happen in around January, as it did in the last bull market. This fractal says November, but again, fractals are not meant to be taken literally. They're just meant to be a guide of what might happen. And the fractal states around 1,700 USD at the end of this bull market for Litecoin, which, if we actually draw how far up that is from the last all-time high, that is a 3.5x from the last all-time high. So entirely achievable, if not very conservative, compared to the last bull market. In the last bull market, we usually saw altcoins 20x from their 2014 all-time highs. This one, taking into account diminishing returns, we could probably be expecting 5 to 10x's across the board. This is a 3.5x, so I'd say this is a very conservative prediction. I will say that we will probably be running into some tough resistance at this 1,000 USD mark, just a very big psychological resistance zone, so we'll probably be seeing some sort of correction from that point before moving through it quite easily, I would assume. So that's my prediction for Litecoin. I'm expecting it to go into the 4 digits, 100 well, not 100%, but I'm very confident that would happen. In fact, to the point where, if you guys haven't seen a bull market in cryptocurrency before, I would highly encourage you to look at the past history of coins that have been around since 2013, 2014. It is very unlikely for us not to at least 5 to 10x from previous all-time highs, provided, of course, that the coin's fundamentals are still strong, which Litecoin's fundamentals are still very, very strong, being adopted on a basis that has not been seen before. So that's my prediction for Litecoin. Definitely 4 digits. I'm looking at this Fractal as a rough guideline. It's hard to predict where a coin's going to go, from pure price discovery. So obviously that's just a prediction. It might go higher. I can't see it going much lower unless we destroy the decade-long cyclical theory that we've had, or unless something dramatic happens to Litecoin, possibly something such as Bitcoin Cash, quote-unquote, winning against it. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you've learned something about Litecoin. I hope you take interest in these videos as well. Make sure to check out some of the videos on my channel that I've already done. I've done a variety of altcoins at this point. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.